And now we also have another 2 issues already in the can.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, penciled and inked. So now it's a matter of, um, well, right now we're gonna have a true finisher go over the art and put some spit and shine on it and make it really, really stand out. So the new partner that's gonna be working with us is John Hebert.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to be taking my penciled art and just doing his thing and making it, and I'm in my eyes like, Marvel Comics worthy, because, that's the kind of work he's been doing, since the 90s. So I'm looking forward to see what he does with my layouts. So hopefully that'll be fun. And the good news is that it's already drawn, so I don't have to worry about it. It's 3 issues at an average of about 25 pages each one. So that's 70 to 80 pages. So we'll split that, and probably release those 3 issues in four, and those 3 issues plus probably release it in 4 books. And that'll buy me enough time to do another 3 books next year, brand new art, and then collect the whole darn thing in a gigantic, massive graphic novel.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about time. It's due. I've had a really big itch to finish that story, because we had so many different threads on that we never even we trimmed almost all of them except just for the bare essentials. And I think with all the thinking we put behind the storylines and the characters and the motivations and all the plots and counterplots and on, it deserves some real estate in which to be seen. So hopefully we'll do that.
Bring it out into the full story. It should be, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I just dropped the link for your Square site.
All right.
You can
Awesome.
go directly, and we're gonna bring that up because I have buttons to push and stuff. Here we are. Here we are. Green Tempest. Number one, brand new original comic book story, characters, and art. So, tell us about how you developed these characters and brought them to life.
Okay. Well, luckily enough, Brett Scheuerman came up with a concept, and he developed it with another artist who kind of, they couldn't see eye to eye on how to develop it. So the artist, stepped back, and then he hired me. The designs for the characters, for Green Tempest, the main character was already there, but I kind of messed around with the bad guy, redesigned him a little bit, and then he liked what I was doing. I said, "Okay, can you do the comic book?" I'm like, "Sure, okay, no problem." And little by little, we developed the book. He had already come up with a plot and some basic scripting. So, the deal was, he may be a novice writer, but I'm not a novice artist. So I need to superhero the hell out of this. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, when you get the script, it's like they fight for 3 pages and that's it. Well, guess what? I geeked out and I started thinking about, powers and how they would, offset each other. I suggested that, Green Tempest should lose. And he does. He gets beat soundly, and then he comes back and, does try to, and well, I guess I'll spoil it. Yeah, he succeeds at the end. So you get at least 2 action pieces, and a flashback all in the first issue. I mean, we wasted no time in pulling out all the comic book tropes here.
So you get the hero's journey in there.
Mm-hmm. The beginning of it, yeah. A little bit of history between him and the bad guy, yeah.
HALESTORM, right?
HALESTORM, yes, sir.
That's a cool name for a villain. I like that.
I thought it was pretty original, to be honest with you.
And here's some more of the art, and I like the feel of the 7 Voyages of Sinbad skeletons coming at them.
I'm glad you picked up on that. That's a retailer exclusive cover. It was part of our Kickstarter program, and they took it, and that's their business in Zephyr Hills, Florida. Your Turn Cafe, and their mascots. They have 2 skeletons on the front window. So when I went over, we talked a little bit, and the guy's like a Harryhausen fan. So he's like, "I'm thinking, are you thinking what I'm thinking?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, how about we give them like some weapons so they can help, Green Tempest fight off the bad guy?" He's like, "Sold, let's do it." So you can see one of them has already been defeated. You can see all the bones on the ground, and then the other 2 are gonna try to help them out. And they're tiny. They're like 3 feet tall. The real ones are. So I kind of kept it in the same scale. So that was a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of hard drawing from real life because this, the business has to look like the business. But it was a lot of fun, and I was able to really drive home the different body styles of these 2 characters. Like HALESTORM is supposed to be, a really big dude, a bodybuilder type, character. And then Green Tempest is supposed to be like an average looking teenager, kind of, skinny, lanky, like a body of a runner, So that worked out really well.
So this cover will be available exclusively at Your Turn Cafe?
Yep, they've already had it. They've had it since, I think, November of last year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the good news is that it's literally 10 minutes down the road. So, if I ever run short, I can always go grab a few more copies. But I literally have about 3 copies of this book because, it's a retailer exclusive. It's theirs. They're the only ones supposed to be selling it. I just printed extra just in case, something happens and one of them is damaged or anything like that. I'll take the damaged ones, make sure they get the, top quality ones. I always print a little bit more, 2 or 3 issues extra. Just to
and then they have the blank sketch cover variant.
Exactly. Yeah. I got about 5 copies left of that one as well. Because now when I go to shows, I sketch on that. So.
Yeah. Speaking of shows, what do you have in the pipeline for Comic-Con appearances this year?
Well, this year, regrettably, I've only had the pleasant opportunity to attend one of them, the Suncoast Comic-Con in Bradenton in April. And I actually designed a poster for them, an image with nice. Batman, Wonder Woman, Moon Knight, Daredevil, and Elektra as Daredevil.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was an exclusive one for him as well. And he hooked me up with a table because he liked it so much.
Nice.
Yeah.
And here is a one that you did. Your original art on the front signed.
Now, this one is a variant cover by David Summey. Yeah, Summey. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it because he's always Dave to me. From Naked Cannibal Campers.
Yeah.
And from Return to Sender. So we're doing it back and forth, man. We got a good synergy going on. So yeah, I asked him. I invited him to. Yes, Brittany, superhero the hell out of the book for sure. Yes. So yeah, we have a good synergy, and we were kind of involved in each other's books. And it's like, I asked him, hey, would you care to donate a cover to the book? No, I'm sorry, I hired him, because he hired me. I'm like, okay, turnabout is fair game. Mm-hmm. So it's fair play. So yeah, once the Kickstarter came through, I paid him, and this is the cover he got for us. It's really unique and it's in his style. That's very attractive, and he colored it and everything. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah, I dig it.
So yeah, let me at least give credit where credit is due. Brett Scheuerman is the writer. Carlos Mangual is the letterist, and Brian Magnaye is the colorist.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we almost had an all Florida team on that one, except Brian. I think he's in the Philippines. So, but everybody else is from Florida.
That's going to be pretty cool for like store signings of the book.
Well, regrettably, we didn't have any store signings on this one for some reason. But then again, that's part and parcel of why the writer and I kind of agreed to have Green Tempest reprinted by a bigger publisher, because this is just self-published, what you're seeing here. So sometime back, actually about a month after we did our, about 2 months before we did our Kickstarter, Antarctic Press was looking for superhero stories, but not for you to write in and then people to draw it. They needed them already completed. And lucky enough, we had this book. We're sitting down ready to get Kickstarters. And we're like, okay, what do you think about this? They're like, yeah, it's good enough. We'd like to publish it. And it's been literally a year. And the solicitations for Exciting Comics number 27 will include Green Tempest. That cover has been retasked for Exciting Comics number 27, available in local comic shops everywhere around the world, my friend.
Antarctic Press.
Antarctic Press. Yeah, I went from Florida guy to having my, my art in comic shops, wherever people buying, Antarctic Press books, Exciting Comics. Yeah, my art will be there.
That's a name I have not heard since Ariella the Warrior Nun.
There you go. There you go. See, so you get why we agreed, because hey, he has one hit in his hand with going to Netflix. I think they already shot season 2. So of course, it's not going to happen to our little book, but it could. So there's nothing wrong with tossing our name in the hat, even though there's 2 million people trying to get their properties developed. Hey. Can't go wrong with somebody who's already got one successful project developed by Netflix. That's a pretty good track record. So
yeah, if you got one done, then they're looking at you for more.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it's great. It's great that this book and this story is going to reach a brand new set of eyes. Because I mean, if you see me at a convention, it's the only way you can get a copy of this book once the Kickstarter closed. So, and we had about 34 backers. So something to that effect. It's been a while. I haven't really checked those numbers, but yeah, even if it sells 500 copies, that's 500 people who previously didn't know that this character existed, that they can, take a look at the art, and they can follow us, and they can take a look at this book, and, hopefully, join in on us when we get to issue 2 next year. I'm hoping to have issue 2 and 3 done next year, and hopefully 2 issues every year after that until we're done with the story.
Yeah. So is Exciting Comics for Antarctic, is that kind of like a Marvel Comics Presents, like anthology feel, where they break up the story over the course of a few issues?
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah. Exciting Comics, they did that about 4 years ago, I'm going to say, that they went ahead and took that title, because apparently that was a real title from the 40s that just became public domain, and they claimed it, and they're using it. And, they're using legacy numbering and everything. So it's kind of neat. I mean, Exciting Comics, somebody pointed it out to me, Niobe Comics on Sunday. Will, pointed it out to me. You're part of something historic. Exciting Comics is older than all of us, and it's it's a part of history. So, unknowingly, and very fortunately, our little creation is going to be a part of a historic run.
That, and how great is it to be involved, have something you did in a book that's actually older than you?
It's pretty neat, to be honest.
Especially nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Because
exactly.
Every 2 weeks, certain companies are wiping out their whole line and rebooting everything because number one, sell more.
Yeah. And while that is true, it's because we're always in the hope that this time they'll get it right. and they have to keep issuing out issue ones because they don't get it right. Either that,
They're not
or
getting
maybe
it
we're
right.
just looking for something they're not giving us.
Mhm.
I buy comics every week. I spend a good, $30, $40 because now it's not a $10 habit,
Yeah,
right?
sadly.
But I'm always going back, trying to hope that they can rekindle that love affair between the reader and what they're producing. And I did a couple of comic reviews a couple months back. Trial of the Amazons. I like Wonder Woman. I watched the movie. I'm familiar with the character. Picked up the book. A whole bunch of talking nonsense. There was no trials. In an extra size book, there was no trial whatsoever. There was a whole bunch of characters talking to each other, but posing to each other. Like, let's say I do this. Oh, if you mess with me, I'm going to hurt you. But I'm posing. I'm not threatening you. My words may sound threatening, but what was drawn was not. And then you would have several characters just big mouth open, but saying normal stuff. It was an incongruity between what was written and what was drawn, and it was very jarring. And I feel that it wanted to be political, and it wanted to be very. It should have been more shocking if you're going to sell it to me as a trial of the Amazons, but the whole book was just introducing, I don't know, 7 different tribes of Amazons. That's not a trial of the Amazons. That's like a social get together.
Family reunion.
Yeah, and I wanted to like this thing. I really did. The art is competently done, and the writers do a great job. It's just the actual package, the whole, when you put all these cooks together, it to me it felt really, really flat. Earth 3, same thing. Just felt really flat. I mean, and I bought them. I bought them with the hopes that they would hook me. I wanted to get hooked, and then they didn't do it. So when I make comics, and I don't make many, because I make a book or 2, maybe 3 a year if I'm lucky. I am looking to hook people. I am looking to hook them with what they see, what they experience in these books. What I can give them, and that's the challenge, really. That's truly the challenge.
Yeah, trying to find something that meets or exceeds your standards out there is getting more and more difficult. I've actually quit modern comics early last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was disappointed in everything. Like, I've been reading all the Batman titles since I was like 4 years old. I'm going to be 53 this year.
Yeah.
Like,
And they lost you. How did they lose you?
Making everything about social justice and BS that they spout in the news every day that doesn't exist. I'm like, I don't want to read about this garbage. Don't turn around and make all these characters all of a sudden are, gay, lesbian, bi, queer, what have you, in all those letters for their acronym. I'm like, they had Red Robin turned around and decided he was bi and wanted a boyfriend. I'm like, after you've had like 2 or 3 year plus relationships with other girls in the DCU, now you decide, yeah, I don't like girls anymore. I'm like, that's usually not how it happens. I'm just saying. And I mean, I was a fan of Batwoman, like the first series of Batwoman that came out during the New 52.
Mm-hmm.
The art was jaw-droppingly beautiful, and the story was good in that first run.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why don't I care about her, relationship preferences or what have you?
Mm-hmm.
Because she was that way when they created her. And it was explained. And that wasn't the only facet of her character.
There you go.
But now they make it the only facet of a character. It's like, that has nothing to do with anything. It's like, yeah, we know Bruce Wayne hooks up with Selena Kyle all the time. It's expected. We know that. You can say, and Batwoman was hooking up with Renee Montoya.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's like, okay, cool. But if that's the only story you're telling us is about the relationship, I can go back and buy some Golden Age True Romance comics instead.
There you go.
Because
yeah.
they hold their worth. Now a $5 or $6 comic that comes out on the shelf on a Wednesday is only worth 50 cents when you walk out the door.
Yeah, when you go to the next convention to see them in the dollar bin, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lower depreciation than cars.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I mean, there's ways to do these things. It just seems that it's, well, I guess because you only got one shot to do it in one issue before you know if the book is canceled or anything else. I don't know. I haven't read those titles, but I know what you mean.
Some of those creators are treating it. You can tell they don't have a love for it. That they're doing it as a job because they're a good artist, embellisher, writer, whatever. But in the long run, it's the head of the company that's telling everybody what they have to do. Here's the outline for the next year for this character. Get it done. And if you can't get it done, they bring somebody else in that can, and then you're working for yourself out on Substack or something.
And we're spending a considerable amount of money every month on a book, and I want to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And these books aren't doing it. They're not doing it. I'm not entertained by talking heads. That's the whole.
I used to be. I used to listen to that band all the time.
But my escapist fantasy in reading comic books specifically is that I don't want you to talk it out. That's the whole point. Superheroes are supposed to, not superheroes. They're not super. They're not heroes. They're idiots. They're idiots that handle things with their fists when they should have been handling it with their brain. That's it. That's the inversion of reality. You and me, we talk our problems out. Because if you and me actually came to blows, I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't want to be in pain for 3 months after our confrontation. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're old. We bruise easy.
Even if I were young, I don't want to go to a dentist and fix my teeth. And no, you and I talk it out like adults. It's done. But superhero comics, they're not supposed to be that smart. They can't be. Because otherwise they'd have no reason to really punch each other in the face. And without that, would you buy it? No. You want drama? Look at your family. Look at your neighbors. Yeah. Tons of drama there.
We just want the excitement of the superhero genre, the way it was meant to be.
Yeah, the who did it, why, where's it going, where's it going to end? Those things. That's it's kind of like liking wrestling and then going to a show and all they do is promos and nobody really wrestles. Why'd you take me to a wrestling show and not wrestle? Take me to the comic book show. Show me the superhero stuff. Don't turn it into 19 pages of talking and a setup for next issue. Because you lost me. You could have collected my $4.99 5 times. You just got it once and I'm done. And that's when what I'm trying to do when I do my comics is that I want to be worth that price you're paying. Because I understand indie comics, I can't price it like Marvel and DC because I don't have their economies of scale.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford to print 10,000, 8,000, 5,000 copies to bring the cost per unit down. So I have to charge $10. Then again, because I have to front this stuff. This is all expenditures to get these things done. And I can only do so much, right? I can only pencil and ink it at no cost because, it's for me. But colorists don't color for free. And that's a very important skill. And I need the right colors for the book to look the right way. I can't just hire anybody. So, and lettering is something that needs to be professionally done.
Mhm.
Nothing hurts a book. Well, one of the things that can hurt a book is horrible lettering. I've seen it. Good package, kind of neat concept, lettering all over the place. No, bad design will not be attractive. Will not get people to come back.
A
So
good editor and a good letterer can make or break a book.
yeah, and self editing is very hard because I've drawn so many pages multiple times that I think in my head that sequence is in there, but then when I actually look at the art, wait a minute, no, it's not. That was 2 versions ago that I included that I deleted it because it was not necessary. But I better make sure nothing in the story refers to that. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my reader. So,
Yeah.
And I'm an English major. I studied English, so I know I can go ahead and make sure there's no misspellings and silly things like that just drive me crazy when I read it. So, Green Tempest is a competently done book. It's not high science. It's not, Watchmen. That's not what we meant it to be. It's simply an adventure yarn of a character with some crazy Flash plus Hulk, powers. Boom. And we had to come up with a bad guy. And Brett came up with HALESTORM, that his power was to produce acid rain, which is not bad, right? That's very unique. I don't know anybody else that has a power of creating acid rain.
No, now HALESTORM sounds like a Captain Planet villain.
And nothing wrong with that.
No,
and
I used to love that show.
When Brett approached me and said, "Hey, I want to do this," and I said, "Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, how do I turn acid rain into something that could be a danger to a Flash character or a Hulk character?" Because acid rain is very passive. It's a passive power. Think about it. It's storming right behind me. But that's very passive. That's very far away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do I turn that into something that's immediate in your face? I thought, well, hey, if the bad guy can make acid rain, maybe he can do like acid snow or acid hail. And he said, "Oh, that's great." And that's where he came up with the name hail, and they added the storm part. And then I thought, why stop at hail? So in the book, the bad guy creates a huge like iceberg worth of acid, water, and just dumps it on the guy, buries him in a 3-story building, completely demolishes him. There it is. That's comics. Now that's not realistic, but that's comics. That's the entertainment portion. It's just seeing things you're not going to be able to see walking down the street. No matter where you are in the world, you're not going to see that. Plus, everybody's green with long ears. So
yeah, so it's different there. It takes place in outer space on an alien world, and
yeah, it's based out of New York. Just so you know, I show the Brooklyn Bridge. I show the American flag on the first page, but everybody's green and got long ears. That's it. And technology is a little bit more advanced than current times because they discovered that peace is good for invention. Versus us, where we are, war is good for invention. A lot of technological advances is made because we want to beat the next guy, we want to beat the next nation, right? So because the writer is a peaceful man, then yeah, he took the reverse approach to it, which I thought was genius because you don't see that being preached a lot in comics. Peace as an option, peace as a valuable and true option to the conflict. So now that he's kind of given me reign on the book, he said, "Listen, just plot it out, just take it and run with it." I want to continue that because this character, Green Tempest, even though he's a competent martial artist and he has superpowers of Flash and Hulk combined, that's not his go-to. It's not who he is. He's a peaceful man. He's a peaceful man, and that's how he approaches HALESTORM. Twice in the book, he asks him, "Hey, why are you doing this? Why can't you stop? Why are you hurting people? There's no point in this. You're not gaining anything." He says, "Well, it doesn't matter. I'm doing it for gaining. I'm doing it to punish you because I know it hurts you." You'll eventually, in the book, you'll understand why. So.
Brittany just threw up the Previews World catalog.
Yep. So the first issue is split into two, and issue 27 of Exciting Comics has the first half, and issue 28 has the second half.
Cool. So you're going to be in it for two issues in a row.
Exactly.
And possibly come back with more in the future for him.
Well, I'm going to make more Green Tempest comics, so if Ben Dunn will have me, yeah, I'll be happy to just keep on producing. You know, the thought that I have for the next 4 or 5 issues is for them to kind of stand alone, but they eventually build up to something. So maybe, you know, hopefully that'll work out. We'll see. I mean, it's all sales driven. You know that. I mean, if the book has like a little blip and it takes up a little bit more, you know, who knows? Maybe like some of the other properties, you know, maybe he'll say, hey, listen, why don't you do like a 10-page special or something like that, and let's pop this character in again in the future. Hey, anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. It's comics, man. It's indie comics where we can do whatever we like. You know, our editors, we're not indebted to that because we don't get paid. We just make the books we want to see.
I mean, properties we like to see and read, and things that will entertain. If it'll entertain us, it'll usually entertain more people. Which is something some of the big publishers are forgetting.
Yeah, well, they can afford to. I can't. I have one shot to earn your business as a comic book creator. If I mess it up, you're not going to dump another $10 on me in issue 2. You're going to stay away from me.
Oh yeah, you gotta make a kick butt issue the first time around to get people to actually want to come back, which includes following you on all your social medias, following you on your original Kickstarter, so they're automatically in the mailing list for when you launch the next Kickstarter.
Exactly. Yeah, to become eventually Patreons for me and follow me to another project, and eventually, you know, get that issue 2. And it's every issue. It's everything I do. Every time it has to be the best it can be, because that's the thing. When I buy comics, that's what I do. I look at a book, I kind of give it a shot. I'm like, okay, I'll spend my hard-earned money because money's not easy to make, and I'm going to give it a try. And if I hate it, that's the last time you get me. And I want people to come back. Let's say they like Green Tempest, right? I want them to check out my other projects. I want them to take a look at American Eagle. I want them to look at Project Apex. I want them to look at, you know, FemForce. I want them to look at the other things that I've done. You know, the latest product, of course, was Green Tempest, and American Eagle is coming out later this year. You know, but I'd also like people to know, hey, I have a history of making comics. There are other comics out there with my heart in it. You never heard of them. But now that you heard of me, yeah, go back and find me. You can look me up, Javier Lugo, and then look comics, and you'll see all the books that I did. Like I did a cover for IDW. I did a retailer incentive. Wow, years ago. It had a lot of the properties of the 70s. It had G.I. Joe, Transformers, Micronauts, Mask, Action Man, ROM, Space Knight.
Oh yeah, I think I have that one too.
Yeah, from IDW. That's the cover Martin and I worked on.
Yeah,
Martin
Revolution. I've got that.
Revolution #1, absolutely.
Yep. The Florida Toy Show exclusive cover.
Yes, sir. Exactly. If you got it signed, you were one of about 50 people to get that book.
Yeah, he sent me a signed copy.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. That was a good time too.
It's all good stuff. I looked at it and I'm like, this is cool. I love all this shit.
Yeah, no, it's a tremendous first issue. That miniseries was tremendous. I'm super honored to have been on one of the retailer incentive covers for that book. I mean, it was tremendous honor, and you know, I get to draw Megatron and Optimus Prime, Cobra Commander, Venom, Thunderwarp, Scarlet. I mean, Rom? I mean, that's half my childhood right there. All I was missing was Messenger, right? And Transistor Z, I guess is how it was known over here, and Robotech. That's the only ones I was missing right there. So.
Yeah. After I saw that and read that, And then at the time I was doing reviews for Outright Geekery.
Mm-hmm.
So because I saw that, I started reviewing all the other subsequent issues and miniseries that they were running off of that premise.
Yeah.
So I kind of got to read the whole, got paid to read the whole thing. But
Yeah.
And then last year, I started, because I used to have a bunch of issues of ROM when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I had the toy, which I still had the toy.
Good on you.
I could practically sell it right now for like another car. Like a 20-year-old car, but still a car. But I started putting together a full ROM run last year of back issues, and I think I'm about 85% complete.
Wow. How many issues did he have his book for?
I think between like 75 and 80, and there were either a couple of like a few specials or specials and annuals in there.
Yes.
There were like 3 annuals, so it was just good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I've kind of looked at my stuff, and to be honest with you, my memory is very picky. I have very good selective memory. I only remember the good stuff. I didn't buy every book that came out. I just couldn't. I had $1 every week.
Mm-hmm.
I had to spend some of it at school, so I ended up at the end of the week with about 75 cents. So I would go to the supermarket, look at everything, and then have to pick one because that's all I could take. Right? So everything I got had to be the best that week. So in that way, I kind of cherry picked. So, when I think about comics at that time, I think, wow, they were great. Well, not really. There were a lot of clunkers out there. I mean, there were a lot of, bad issues of Spider-Man every now and then. Listen, I thought Uncanny X-Men was super boring all the time. Like, what is this? Why they're all, that redhead and that redhead, they look the same. What's the problem, dude? Just pick one. I don't know. It was just really silly to me. But, it's good to remember that, if you found a book that was just spoke to you, it was your darling, and that's special to a lot of people. Some people it was Ghost Rider, some people it was Nova, some people it was a Speedball, and so all kinds of silly things. But everything in the past was not better. It's just that we just only bought the best that we could get our hands on.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can get our hands on a heck of a lot more product. And there's a lot of really good product. I buy independent books like your Dark Horse, Image, and Blaze and stuff about 6-1 or 8-1 versus anything from Marvel and DC.
Oh, a Blaze's Sumerian series is probably like the most amazing thing I've read, sword and sorcery wise, probably in my whole life.
Yeah, it's all this stuff that was produced in England and Spain and not England. I meant to say France and Spain and Italy that we never had access to because American publishers didn't have right to those books, to those creations. So they were producing all this stuff over the last 15, 20 years, but now we're finally getting to see that. I mean, it's not marketed under Conan because they can't, but under the Sumerian, we're getting to see all those cool things and all these weird variations. I'll be honest, I was kind of used to John Buscema's clean-shaven, bronze-skinned Sumerian, and when I see these other interpretations, my first reaction is, what the hell is this? But after a while, it dawned on me, well, I'm basing it off of John's version, but really, Robert E. Howard's version was never described physically in like, he's got an eyebrow that's kind of no, it's just steel-eyed, bronze skin, reflexes of a panther, and gigantic mirth. Boom, that's all he needed, and that's truly all. At this point, I've kind of learned to accept. I don't need John's or Frank Fazetta's version. I just need something that's true to the spirit of Robert E. Howard, which was an uncivilized man will always be better than a cultured man, because cultured men have too many rules that incite cultured men to cheat, lie, and kill. And those are all horrible things. The honest Barbarian will always triumph because their motives are pure. They're not out there for power and glory. It's over everyone else. It's very much self-driven. I want to be who I am. Just don't stand in my way. Stand in my way, you're gone. And as an individual, I can understand that. That I can relate to. As a young boy, I could relate to that very much. Having the power in your hands and it being you and only you, and it's you against the world, and you triumph all the time, and you get the chick, and you get the horse, and you get the jewels, and the bad guy is bye-bye at the end. Sign me up for that every month, So
Yeah, it's just a good feeling to get something like the Sumerian in your hand, or Green Tempest, a book that I backed on Indiegogo called Mavericks, that is on its way from a first-time creator, and I've already had the pleasure of reading the digital version, but it's not quite the same. I still can't wait to get the physical copies in my hand, and I'm looking forward to that. And there's a bunch of books coming in like that. Another artist that goes by Passion for Drawing on Twitter has a like a black and white magazine style that's kind of like the old Savage Sword magazines.
Okay.
Where it's got like 4 short stories in the beginning, 4 illustrated prose stories in the back. He even designed a small D&D module in the back with a new creature for your party to fight. That's like a 45-minute adventure for D&D.
Talk about hitting everything in the fantasy. Yeah, absolutely.
Hit everything. Plus, everybody's getting an original sketch card with their order for $25.
That's pretty ingenious, and I'm absolutely stealing that idea for my next one.
Well, by all means.
Yep. Yeah, I've been convinced that having more chase covers is a good thing for sales. I personally don't believe in it, because if I gotta get 3 different artists to do 3 incentive covers for me, they gotta get paid. And that just ups the ante on how much money I need to have a successful Kickstarter. But if people like version variants, adult variants, anime style, I don't know, Italian Renaissance style, I don't know. If that's what they need, that's what they like, then guess what? I as a producer, I'm kind of obligated to maximize my opportunity to get this book in front of as many people as possible. And hence, Exciting Comics number 27 being out there, available to comic book retailers. I think the code is JUN22170. Let me see if I can.
Yes, it is.
JUN22120.
Oh, no. JUN221277. There it is.
There you go. Thank you.
So talk to your retailer. If they looked this over and forgot to order this, they can back order this, and you can have it at your store in the next 2 weeks if they, for some reason, did not order this issue from Antarctic Press.
Exactly.
And there's
exactly
lots
right.
of stores out. There's lots of stores out there. So who knows? The big thing now is stores selling online or selling on Whatnot, on the Whatnot app. And there's I'm still loyal to my comic shop. I don't buy new comics anymore, but I buy my supplies from them. If he's got them, I'll buy them. And if there's hardcovers that are in, I'll look at it and go, if I find a story that I used to like, that I
Mhm.
liked and the characters I liked,
Yeah.
but it's like an older piece, I'll definitely buy it. I'm still waiting for DC to release the complete Phantom Stranger omnibus.
Oh wow.
They announced it and then they pulled it. So if they
Wow.
actually release that, it was supposed to have all the Phantom Stranger main issues of his series and all the backup issues where they did like the short like 8-page stories in the back of like a detective or something, or
Yeah.
in the back of an adventure. Those are all supposed to be included. I like
My
old
intro-
comics.
my introduction to the Phantom Stranger was a Secret Origins in which there were 4 possible origins for that character. And I thought all
Mm-hmm.
4 of them were phenomenal. I think Gene Colan drew one. I think Alan Moore wrote one.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jim Aparo drew one, if I remember. I mean, I'm just trying to remember off of 4 years ago. But
Yeah.
it was tremendous. It was in one of them, he was the Roman soldier that spiked Jesus to make sure he was dead. In another one, he was a fallen angel, and it was really nice stuff. I mean, if that came out, I'd get it.
And in New 52, when they redid them again,
Mm-hmm.
They drop hints all over the place that the Phantom Stranger is actually Judas Iscariot,
That can work too.
because his cape is held in from 22 pieces of silver.
Oh, see?
Mm.
That's some Neil Gaiman kind of stuff. That's deep.
Yeah.
I like that. It's all how
Most
it's
of my
done.
friends didn't like that
Mhm.
and I go, no, I think it's cool. He goes, oh, it's because you go to church and stuff. I go, well, you can go too. Nobody's stopping you. You can still read comics and go to church. You just don't get caught reading comics in church.
Hello. Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't take comics to your workplace. Keep it separate.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, you don't want them getting damaged.
Yeah. Or idiots with ketchup on their hands going through your books. Yeah.
Yeah, pizza grease, stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's cool.
So I want to thank you for coming on tonight, Javier.
Oh wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like we've been chatting for about 45 minutes now.
Okay. You got do you have any other questions for me at all?
Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on social media?
Okay.
And tell them how your commissions work.
Okay. All right. So as you can see under my name, it says J Lugo Art. Just do a search for J Lugo Art. Boom, you're gonna find me. I'm J Lugo Art in Facebook. On Twitter, I'm J Lugo 627. Instagram, I'm J Lugo Art. So that's where you can see my stuff. I post on all 3 of them at the same time. And my commissions are pretty straightforward stuff, man. I draw on 9x12 paper, 11x17 paper, and blank sketch covers. At this time, I'm not taking comic book commissions because those are very time intensive. And right now I got 3 projects I'm working on at the same time. So I can't really commit to anything else. But I do have time to pop out a cover, to pop up an 11x17 commission. And, they're very fairly priced. I mean, look at that Joker cover. You're going to get it for $50, including, shipping. That's pretty nice. That's going to be inked because I'm not just going to print it. I'm going to ink it because, you got that green cover, so it's got to stand out. So yeah. And I recently got enough courage to start coloring this stuff, and it's coming out really nice. And actually I'm getting paid more for coloring than sketching, believe it or not, because I guess there aren't that many people doing coloring. So yeah, I'm doing that too. So you're welcome to reach out to me. July is a very important month for me because I do need to make some ends kind of meet this month. With summer being around, my wife is a teacher. So if you know anybody that's a teacher, that kind of, cash poor in the summer. Plus exactly. So plus my birthday and her birthday is in the same month in summer. So our licensing is due. Our tags are due, a whole bunch of bills, like our insurance starts that month. You know how it is. You got to pay a big down payment. It's really weird. But June tends to be one of those really dry months, and it really caught up to me. So right now I'm taking commissions. And my deadline is to have it done by and in the mail by the 31st of July. Anything you commission in July, it'll be done by the end of the month, and you'll get it shortly thereafter. So I'm here. Use me.
Yeah, and when you find Javier on Facebook, you scroll through his feed, you'll see a bunch of covers that he started sketching on. So if you're interested in any one of those, comment and contact him, and he will be more than happy to send you a beautiful piece of art.
Yeah, I got about 31 of those covers kind of sketched out. Superman, Batman Who Laughs. I got a whole bunch of Spawns in there. And, they're there. Take a look. If the concept works, boom, I'll finish it and send it to you. But I also have another 60 blank sketch covers. So I got tons of work to do. Just put me to work.
Awesome. Please check out Javier, and please pick up Exciting Comics issue 27 that's out this week, and check out the Green Tempest.
All right. Well,
thank you very much.
You're awesome. And
thank you, man.
You're awesome. You're awesome. And I got to cut my nails. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me on.
We will catch everybody later on. Thursday this week, Thomas Hewlett and myself will be talking about Amazing Spider-Man issue 145 on an OK Boomer, the podcast, our special Spinner Rack back issue show. Until next time, this is Will for Creators Outlet and our special guest, Javier Lugo. You can find him anywhere at J Lugo Art. And we will catch you all later on. Everybody have a great night and read a comic book.
Yes, please.